Recently, we had a video in which we responded to AI when they suggested some cartridges, rifle, center fire hunting cartridges that were overrated. And I didn't agree with all of their assessments. Well, that got a lot of attention. Folks are really fired up about it. And Griffin here, who came up with the idea in the first place, has another idea. What are you calling this one?
So we decided to ask AI this time, what are the most underrated hunting cartridges?
Of course. And I suspect you have them for us.
Oh, of course we do.
Should we reveal them all at once or one at a time?
Let's just give people a sneak peek of what they're looking forward to.
That was a sneak.
Now it's time to peek.
Let's peek. Say, regardless which cartridge you use when you take your deer or elk or anything else, you're going to need to get that meat ready for the table, and boy, a boning knife is a great way to do it. I usually bone the meat off of my animals in the field if I'm a significant distance from a vehicle, because I'm going to have to carry it out. And what I have found is that a fish fillet knife works pretty darn well. Well, Knives of Alaska has designed this sleek, ergonomic boning knife that really does the job for me. You might want to check it out. Go to Knives of Alaska. This is D2 steel, got a synthetic handle, full tang. You're not going to get slip and grip with this baby. You can even put a lanyard through the hole right here if you'd like. This is a well-designed field knife for boning your deer. Check it out, Knives of Alaska. What have we got?
Okay, starting off with number 5. We're going to go 5 to 1. That way we can build the anticipation. Number 5 is one we actually recently have talked about. The 338 Federal.
Oh, 338 Federal. Now, I agree with AI on this one. Yeah. This has long been one of my kind of pet peeves that people don't appreciate, the 338 Federal. As you know, it is a, what case?
It's a 308.
308 Winchester case necked up to?
338.
338.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. So for all of the guys out there who say, oh, I like a little bigger bullet, a little wider bullet. They're not so concerned about longer bullets and high BCs and all, but they think they get a bigger bang for their buck with a wider bullet. Well, if you guys like the 308 and think that's such a great cartridge, and gosh, millions do, just increase the diameter of the bullet a little bit. Now you've got what you're looking for. So 338 Federal. 30-06, comparable velocities, really, when you look at it. And it's pretty hard. I have taken branch-antlered bull elk with this. One shot, one kill. Yeah. And grizzly bear. Big interior grizzly bear up in Alaska recently with the 338 Federal. They're shooting 185 grain, 200 grain, 225 grain bullets. You have an option of a 250 grain bullet, but that would be pretty much limiting yourself to 100 yards or in for something really big and massive that you wanted a lot of penetration for.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have much velocity. But it's a great whitetail cartridge if you're in the woods and you want to put a kind of like the old 35 Remington, where you want a bigger bullet, wider bullet, really put it on.
That was definitely popular. And that's exactly what AI said. They said, here's a couple points they give with each cartridge. And they said,
it's a heavy bullet performance in a short action package.
So kind of like you mentioned with your bear hunt, it's a smaller, more compact rifle you can get for that big cartridge and big bullet.
Okay, good point.
And it also says, exactly what you said.
Perfect for close to medium range hunting, especially in thick timber, but it's rarely ever talked about.
AI and I agree. Can you believe that, guys?
The AI revolution is here. Ron's agreeing with it.
The AI is supposed to be so smart. Well, it's almost as smart as I am. Of course, it took me 72 years to figure this out, and they got it pretty quickly.
Well, we'll see if that continues throughout the rest of the list.
All right.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Number 4, the 7mm08 Remington.
The 7mm weight Remington? That's another one of my favorites. I have long been a champion of that. Didn't come out until 1980. So the 308 Winchester, that's the case for this one too. The parent case, both of these, 308 Winchester. That came out in 1952. And of course, wildcatters started necking it up and down right away, but it was really a long time until the manufacturers finally did it. So Remington came out with this one in 1980. And I think it is just about the epitome of the perfect whitetail rifle. If you're not crazy about the bigger, heavier bullets, a little less recoil, still getting pretty good flat trajectory, not all that far off from a 270 even.
Yeah.
And you've got some pretty good selection in bullet sizes in a 708. You can get down as light as 100 grain. You can go as heavy as 175 grain. I think the 708's twisted fast enough to stabilize that. I don't think you need a 175 in it, similar to having that 250 grain in your 338. But if you are looking for a deep, deep penetrating bullet on something big like a moose or bear, you can go that route. Generally, though, you're looking at a 140 grain bullet for your whitetail hunting, maybe a 150. You ever used one?
Actually, I have. The first big game animal was a doe antelope I took with a hand-loaded 708. He's shooting, I believe it was 120 grain Hornady SST.
Ooh, getting the velocity going
Yeah,
there.
it was rocking in front. They were light loaded because I was, I believe 12 at the time, so I was a young little lad.
Yeah.
But it worked really well. I was able to kill that antelope efficiently, and I also killed probably the biggest buck I've ever killed with a 708. It was shooting, I think, 139s. I don't know exactly the bullet. Big being it was like,
Big fork horn?
yeah, exactly. Big. No, it was a nice buck. Like I said, it wasn't a giant, but it was for being 14, 15.
Tell me more. How nice was it?
I rough scored him about like 140s.
Yeah, 144 by 4
But
mule.
still a very, very nice deer for.
Oh, I mean, most guys would just drool over the one that
Exactly.
size.
So, yeah, I've had personal experience with it, and I love it personally. But
Great. Well, what does the AI say about it?
AI says almost exactly. It's almost scary how close you guys are. Maybe AI is just learning off of you. But it says
Excellent for deer, elk, and even bigger game with the right bullets. Light recoil, great efficiency, but often ignored in favor of flashier rounds.
Yeah, that's true. 280 Remington, 280 AI, and then up into the 7 mags. There's so many of them. Well, as you guys know, there are over 60 in this book. So if you're into 7 millimeters, this really covers all of them. But that 708, you know what? Another one that's real close to that's just kind of fallen by the wayside because one, it's a European cartridge, and two, it's getting pretty dated. Came out in 1892.
whoa.
757 Mauser.
Oh, yeah, I know that's a
This
personal
is
favorite of
pretty
yours.
close to the performance. They're almost identical.
Yeah.
And that one is proven, of course, around the world. So
Yes.
you got a couple of good ones here. All right, what is the next one up?
Okay, number 3, the 35 Whelen.
35 Whelen. That looks like this one. Now we're starting to stretch it out there a little bit. Now, what I would say about the 35 Whelen is that it's sort of in the same ballpark as this 338 Federal. This time, you take the 30-06 and you neck it up.
Yeah.
But instead of necking it up to just .338 bullet, you put it in a .358. So you got a 35 caliber. That's kind of why this has become a sleeper for moose, elk, bears. You know what the 30-06 can do. There's your same powder supply. You just have a wider bullet. So it's going to be a little bit less efficient in its trajectories, but it's going to be heavier, and it's going to hit harder. So I think it is a grand option for low recoil for elk and moose. It's been pretty well proven. It's going to be great for bears, even grizzly bears, even big brown bears, really, without a lot of recoil that you're going to get with a 375 H&H, for instance.
Yep.
And whitetail hunters, a lot of them use this, and they say they love it for the same reasons I love the 338, which is that wider bullet and pretty hefty, and it really hits hard. So there you can get away with a 250 grain bullet in this thing. You can even get some 300 grains. I've never shot those. But yeah, 35 caliber, you're getting up there in some pretty significant weights.
Well, AI, again, is right along the same lines. It says,
A powerhouse for moose, elk, and bears. Yet shoots from a standard action.
30-06 length action.
exactly. And then it says,
It's overshadowed by magnums, but very versatile.
Yeah, that is a good point. Well, credit AI for that one. Should have mentioned the Magnum thing a little more clearly, I think. But yeah, it just kind of bridges that gap from your 30-06, even your 338-06. This is the 35-06. So it kind of bridges that gap, and you don't get as much recoil and muzzle blast and all the rest of it. Pretty nice. Now, this thing was actually designed around 1922. Colonel Whelen was the impetus behind it. There's some argument whether he developed it or his gunsmith, gunmaker, built it and stuck his name on it to honor him or something like that. But there are arguments for both sides. Who cares? It's out there. What was amazing is, once again, just like the 708, even though that was a wildcat for a long time, didn't get legitimized until pretty late. Same with this one. It was about 1987 before anybody said, SAMI spec, ready to go. You go to the store, buy a rifle, buy your ammo, it's all ready to go.
I don't know if I've ever seen a rifle chambered in 35 Whelen.
Joseph has one.
I might have to
Or
shoot
at least
it
he
one day.
had one. Yeah, let him have you shoot it once. And pretty good option for somebody who wants to go a little harder and faster than the 300 or the 30-06, but not as fast as the 375 H&H and somewhere in that
I
range.
think I actually have seen that rifle. I'm pretty sure I watched a buffalo get killed by it, if I'm not mistaken.
There you
at,
go.
At least one buffalo. We might have to include that. But-
And we're talking bison.
Bison, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the American bison, not a buffalo.
All right, what's another one of these cartridges? they
Okay,
don't
we're
think
getting
are-
up there. Number 2, the 280 Remington.
Well, look what we're doing here, guys. 308 cases, 30-06 cases, and they missed the boat. The 280 Remington has long been overlooked because it came after the 270 Winchester, quite a few years after. 1957, I believe, is when that came out, maybe 58. And what the idea was for Remington to compete against Winchester. Those are the two big ones. They're trying to sell rifles and ammo and all the rest of it, and the 270 was just too hard to knock off its perch. They thought, let's just go with a 7mm bullet, get a little more efficiency, a little heavier bullet. Instead of topping out with 150 grain like the 270, they can take it up to 175 grain. Yeah, let's do that. So all they did was neck that 30-06 down to 28 caliber, and it is a darned efficient, effective cartridge, and you can make a pretty solid argument that ballistically it is superior to the 270 Winchester. I don't think any game you shoot with it's going to notice, but
think they
once
care.
again, low recoil, standard actions, inexpensive rifles more or less, and just doing pretty much the same thing that the 270 Winchester does and the 30-06 do. Both of those are going to be right in there with it. It is really an unsung successful cartridge.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it gets overshadowed quite a bit this nowadays from the 280 Ackley Improved.
Yeah.
Which is basically just the improved version of
Yeah,
it.
and that all that did was shove the shoulder forward a little bit and flatten it out to 40 degrees. The head spacing is really exactly the same, so the junction of the neck and the shoulder is going to be the same, but the flared the walls out a little bit, and then the shoulder to 40 degrees instead of, this is about, 26 degrees, 25 degrees or something like that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right.
What did AI say about the 280?
AI said.
They must love it because it's a 280 AI.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe that's why they put it so high on the list. You never know. They said
Ballistically fantastic. Bridges the gap between the 270 and the 30-06. The AI version is especially offers near magnum performance with moderate recoil.
Can't argue with them, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that if you go with the Ackley version of this one, you're just right on the heels of the 7-rem mag, probably 100 feet per second slower. But then again, the 7-rem mag could be loaded a little hotter because they, for some reason, set the maximum chamber pressure on that a little bit lower than they could have. They could have gone up to 65,000 PSI on that, and I think they stopped at 62 or something. Not a big deal, but hand loaders generally get a lot more velocity than factory loads.
Yeah, I have a 280 Ackley, and I love it to death. It does everything I want and more. So.
Have you shot the standard 280?
Yes, so my dad actually had, growing up, he had a 280 Remington, just the standard Remington, and he killed all sorts of different animals with it, and he would always talk about it. And so growing up, that was kind of like the gun I always wanted, and then I heard of this newfangled 280 Ackley Improved.
So you went with
And
that.
so I was like, oh, it's that, but better. And so being able to shoot both of them out of the same chamber is also a benefit. I could just grab 280 Remington right off the shelf and just throw it right in. And it does take a little bit of energy fireforming, but for the most part, it will at least make your gun go bang.
Well,
Can't
it does
complain with
more
that.
than that. I haven't noticed I'm losing much, but maybe 50 feet per second when I fire for
just
them.
a little bit.
Yeah, so you put 280 factory loads into your 280 Ackley chamber. If it's built properly, check with your gunsmith. Of course, nowadays it's a SAMI spec cartridge too, so it should work just fine.
Yeah.
Surely does for me. Hey, if you would like to join us and be part of our Patreon community, go to patreon.com and then look for Ron Spomer Outdoors. It'll give you all the instructions for signing up. You can join us. You can join our monthly meetings. You're going to get newsletters every week. You're going to get a lot of inside tips and tricks, and we're just really starting to ramp up Patreon. So join us there. We'd sure appreciate it. Drum roll, coming up to number one.
Number
the
one.
most underrated center fire cartridge in AI's opinion.
This one will surprise a lot of people. Number 1, the 257 Roberts.
Ta-da! Not only will it surprise a lot of people, but it will confuse a lot of people who are thinking, what is that? Never even heard of it. What do you know about it, partner?
I don't know a lot. I've heard of the name before. I honestly couldn't tell you very much. I know my father owned a 257 Roberts, and he sold it because he said, according to him, again, this could all just be tall tales or who knows, but when he was younger, he shot the biggest buck of his life. He said, square in the chest, and it turned around and ran off.
And he shot it with a 257
257 Roberts. So he said after that, he just turned around and sold that gun. Don't know if that's true. That could all just be maybe a little bit of buck fever going on there, and he just thought he hit it. But
it could also be what is usually the issue that shooters, hunters don't talk about, the bullet.
very true.
I mean, there's no reason why a good center hit with a 25 caliber bullet, probably weighed 100 grains to 120 grains, that's usually where they are in that range, wouldn't do the job. Look at how many people have taken so much game with the 243 Winchester.
Oh, yeah.
And all the 24s. And that really was what did in the 257. 257 Roberts is based off of the 757 Mauser case, just neck down to 25 caliber. 25s were pretty popular in the first quarter of the 20th century. And I think this one came out as a factory cartridge in the, I want to say the early 30s. You guys might want to double check me on that one. It might have been the later 20s, but it was following in the footsteps of the 253,000 Savage, which was the first commercial cartridge to exceed 3,000 feet per second velocity. They had to do that with an 87 grain bullets. Well, this one will do that with a 100 grain bullet, I believe. It's pretty fast for its day. Of course, they didn't have the bullets for the day. As you can see right here, it's got kind of a big knee plat on the tip there. So it's not exactly what you call a modern, sleek, efficient bullet. But boy, was it popular with whitetail hunters who also wanted to shoot a few groundhogs, rock chucks, kinds of things, and coyotes and whatnot. It was always considered sort of a dual-purpose cartridge that way. And it was real popular in the East as well as the West. Obviously not super high power, but the recoil is next to nothing. So today I think you can compare it to the 243 Winchester, the 6mm Creedmoor, the 6mm Remington. Those two, the Remington and the 243 Winchester, are what put this thing out to pasture. Because they were doing the same thing, but they were a little zippier because they were 24 instead of 25 caliber, which is like, come on, there's such a tiny little difference there. But still, it was the new thing. It was in 1955 is when those two came out. And by then, the 257 had been around a long time, and people wanted something new.
Yeah.
It was post-war era. Everybody had something that was really super fast, and these were all the rage. It's like modern cartridges today. Do we need them? No. Does somebody design them? Yes. Do they want to sell them? Of course they do. Yeah. Do we want to try them? Yeah, a lot of us do. And that's what keeps the wheels turning.
I was just going to say, speaking of that, there's the new 25 Creedmoor. I think we have yet to get our hands on. I'd be interested to see how it compares to the 257 Roberts.
Yeah, that would be fun. Might have to do that someday.
We'll definitely have to.
And we'll throw the 25-06 in there, too.
Yeah. Well, AI has to say almost the exact same. It's scarily similar.
They're copying me. I should probably sue them for plagiarism. Yeah,
exactly. Definitely. It says it's
soft shooting, flat trajectory, and excellent for deer and pronghorn. But it is overlooked because of its age and lack of marketing.
That's just like me. I got a new friend. I was
going to say, yeah, it's the same person.
And that's all they have to say about it?
Yep.
Wow.
That's all they got to say. Very short-spoken AI.
Yeah. Well, I think they did a pretty fair job here.
Yeah.
I didn't see any major inaccuracies in any of that. Of course, it's all opinion, folks. The cartridges themselves don't care. That's just inert stuff. Really, when you think about cartridges, all it is a container to hold powder and a primer to drive a bullet. So the container's shape doesn't have that much to do with the success. The quantity of powder certainly does, and the weight of the bullet, and the shape of the bullet, and the BC, and all that good stuff. That's major contributors to your performance. So when you're looking at cartridges, you look at these and say, a lot of people would say, well, I don't see much difference between these two. Obviously, you got a little bit wider bullet on the 338 Federal, but that 7mm 08 with that bullet looks like it would shoot faster and flatter and deflect less in the wind, and that's right. But you could get probably a different bullet on the 338 Federal and improve a little bit there. With all of these, it just comes down to how you load them up, what the bullets are. But think about ballistic performance, muzzle velocity, BC of the bullet determine your trajectory. It doesn't matter if you're shooting a 350 Magnum of some kind or a 24 of some kind. If the bullet's ballistic coefficient is the same and that rifle's muzzle velocity is the same, you are going to get the exact same trajectory. You'll get more energy out of the bigger one, but the trajectory is going to be the same.
Yeah, I think a lot of people nowadays just overthink it. They look at the numbers and the new marketing or whatever, who says what. In the end, it's all about the bullet and where you hit them.
Yeah. I think what we're going to do, I've been thinking for some time about this. I want to do a show on selecting your cartridge based on performance without knowing the name of the cartridge. Because so many people fixate on that. It's like, my grandpa shot a 280 Remington, so that's what I have to get because it worked for him. Well, yeah, but somebody else's grandpa used a 30-06 and that worked, and somebody else used a... Yeah. But that's kind of fun, that AI stuff.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if there's any other underrated cartridges that AI or anyone out there in the audience would like us to. Yeah, that's a
good point. If you guys have a pet cartridge that you think is highly underrated, write in and let us know what it's done for you, why you like it, and we might have another one of these contests where we'll compile all that, and then we'll do a video based on your choices and selections and discuss them in depth using your comments in addition to ours, and we'll figure out what the real loser underrated cartridge is.
I don't know. There's no losing cartridge.
There's no losers?
I think there's no losing in shooting.
That poor 257 Roberts doesn't get any more sales.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw a rifle on the shelf chambered for that one?
I don't know if I ever have.
Yeah. I think the last one done was probably a Ruger #1 single shot.
Yeah, probably.
Nobody makes bolt actions for it anymore. More's the pity. Hey, here's your chance, guys. Plenty of machinists out there who know what to do. True. All right, guys, these are the underrated cartridges. Hope you enjoyed this one. Do like my friend Griffin here. Hunt honest to shoot straight.
Give Ron a knife.
Knife me.
The man needs a knife.
How about a boning knife?
A boner knife?